Hi, my name is Glenn Vickery and welcome to my YouTube channel Kiwi Bushcraft and Survival. In today's lesson, in real self-defense, we're going to be going into what we call centre. Okay, now centre is basically our power area, or normally in front of us right here. Okay, so anywhere between here and here, alright, or even up a bit. Okay, from here to here and coming out to around about this far. Alright, so from here to here and coming out to about this far. Alright, and then there's a circle, alright, around this area here. So this area out to my front here, alright, out to my front, that there is my power area. So if I was to grab somebody, or somebody was to grab, okay, if I was to grab somebody like that, I'm going to grab them in this area here, because that's where I'm strongest. Okay, now the closer I come into my body, the stronger I am. So the stronger my centre is here, the further I come out, the weaker my centre becomes, the weaker I become. Okay, so when we strike somebody, let's imagine when somebody punches somebody else, they're punching in front, in their centre, boom, like this. Okay, or when they're grabbing, they're grabbing like this in front of them. Okay. Because this is our strongest point. So wherever our body is facing this way, that's our centre. So at the moment my centre is here. If I turn towards you, my centre is here. Okay. If I turn this way, my centre is here. Alright. And so whenever we're dealing with an attacker or an opponent, we want to be have our centre facing our opponent. Right? Obviously it makes sense. If they're in front of us here and we hit, we're going to have more power. Okay. Now if I was to grab, in saying that there, I want them in front of my centre, but I don't want to be in front of their centre. Okay, because if I'm in their centre, they're going to have maximum power when they go to hit me or grab me or anything, kick me or whatever. Okay, so I don't want to be right in their centre. I don't want to be up close to them here. The closer I am to their centre, the more power they're going to have. Okay, the further I am away from their centre, the better. And even better than that is actually not being in their centre at all. Period. All right. So the other thing to understand centre is what's outside of centre. Okay. So if you look at it like this, here's my centre. Anything outside of this area, as I start to go out to here, where my hands are, that's starting to get out of centre. I start to get weaker out here. Okay? As I start to go out further out to these areas here, okay, I'm weaker. Not as strong as I am here. Alright? So if I was to grab somebody like that, grab somebody over here while I'm facing this way, it's not very strong. It's still strong, but not as strong as if I was like this, facing them, and it was in my centre. All of this is going to come into play when we're doing our techniques and things like that, when you're doing self-defense and whatnot, because centre is so important throughout the fight. You must maintain or control your centre and the other person's centre. Okay, so when you're doing techniques, you need to understand this. It's very important. Otherwise, you'll lose power as well. So you lose power from losing balance, as I explained in the last video, but you can also lose power by not being in the centre, obviously. Okay, by not having the person or a part of that person in your centre. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Chris to come back again, and I'm going to give a demonstration of centre again. Okay, using Chris. So Chris is here. At the moment, I'm in Chris's centre. All right, so I'm directly in front of him, and he's also in my centre. So this is my centre here. It stops about here, but if I move forward, he's still in my centre. So my centre is facing him from here. Okay, so where he is now, even though my strength is this area, if I was to step forward and hit, okay, then my centre is coming into here. He's going to get full power. Vice versa, if he was to come at me, I'm in his centre and I don't want to be here. It's like in a previous video I talked about the Big Mack truck or the big Kenworth truck. Okay? If he's the big Kenworth truck and he's coming this way, directly at me, he's going to have most of his power coming straight at me. And I don't want that. I need to move. Okay? If you don't move, you're going to get hit. And if you stay in the person's centre, you're going to get hit even harder. Okay? So what we need to do is we need to move out of the other person's centre. So we can do this. If he's facing me, alright, I can move to here, which is what we call just off centre. So centre is directly in front of him, and I've moved just off centre. Okay? So from here is not good, here's okay. Alright, here is okay. Not too bad. Alright? Alright. Okay? If I move further out to his right, or out to his left, sorry, out this way, out to my right, here, that's even better for me. So now I'm further away from his centre, this is a better place for me. Now if I move to the next spot, over to here, okay, this is even better. Okay, this is even better. And here is the best spot of all because his centre is facing that way, and my centre is facing him here at his back. Okay, so I could go the other way as well. I could go from here to here, here to here, okay, here to here, and here to here. It doesn't matter which way you go. The priority is moving out of his centre, his strong area, or what I like to also term sometimes as his danger area. Right, this is his danger area. If I'm here and he hits me, he's going to hit me with a lot of power. Now, some people will say, let's go to show that. Right, so we've been here before where this person goes to throw a punch. If he's going to throw a punch and I move out of his centre, okay, that's good for me. Here, I've moved out of his centre. Or if he throws with this punch here, he's throwing the punch and I move. Okay, I'm just off centre from him. I'm almost over here. Okay, but as long as I'm off centre, I'm not going to be in his power zone. So one, he might miss me. Okay, and two, I'm not going to get hit. Even if I did get hit, it's going to be with less force. Okay, but we want to be moving. All right. I'll get into punches another time, specifically on punches with defence against punches, but not right now. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is, some people say, well, Glenn, if you move here, this person's just going to turn this way to face me. He's just going to turn, okay? And if I move this way, he's going to turn again, right? And if I move this way, he's just going to turn. So you're not going to be able to get around him, okay? Well, we will, and we are going to, and it's basically, when we're doing techniques, we need to understand the foundation of centre, okay? So for an example of when we're doing a technique and using centre, I'll just swap around places with you, mate. Okay? Okay, so let's imagine that Chris grabs my hand here, okay? Now, I'm in his centre, and he's in mine, alright? Now, I want to keep him in my centre so I've got maximum power, but I don't want to remain in his centre, because here he can punch me. Alright, so I don't want to stay here. Yes, I could punch him too, but it's better for me to move out of his centre and then do what want to do, okay, if I can. Alright, so from here, I want to turn, alright, moving out of his centre, do the technique at the same time, okay, grab hold of his hand, okay, and then I can come up and I can grab, alright? I can come up and grab, do whatever I want. Now, so, from here, as he's grabbing me, as I move, you can see now I'm coming out of his centre. Here's his centre, and I've now moved off centre. I've moved off centre, or even right over to as far diagonally here as I possibly can get with him, alright? So I stay in the centre here, he grab tight, okay? Here. Okay, so now I'm out of his centre. That's his centre there. Here's my centre. It's still in this area here. Okay, I haven't got his full body. I could turn more towards his body, but I've got his arm in my centre. Okay, from here, as I grab, he can't turn now. Okay, just go to try and turn a little bit. Okay, he can't turn because I've locked his arm here. Okay, but I'm not just going to stay here like this. Alright, but I have got out of his centre, strong area. So if he was to try and hit me, right, it's going to be very hard for him. Okay, Now, obviously from here, I could continue the move, okay, by stepping in, right, and pulling him down into here, right? So again, here I have his arm in my centre. I'm bending down slightly, bending at the knees. I'm in my stance, okay, always in a stance. I've got his arm in my centre, and I can do whatever I want from here. His centre now is facing towards the ground, all right? Now, if I was to carry on taking him towards the ground, okay, to here, okay, now his centre is facing towards the ground, okay? And as you can see, I'm in a better place. My centre is behind him, okay? So now if he was to get up, hop up,
I can't.
okay? So he can't hop up now because he's got no power because his centre's facing the ground, okay? And I'm putting pressure on him. Okay, so when we're talking about centre, it's very important that whenever you're doing techniques, you're being aware of where you are, where your centre is, and where your opponent's centre is. Now, if you can move out of your opponent's centre, but keep them in yours, then you're doing well, okay? Because obviously you're giving yourself a huge advantage. So, that's pretty much centre in a nutshell, okay? It's pretty much centre in a nutshell. There's really no other way I can really explain it, apart from it's here. Actually, there is one other way that I could probably explain centre as well. And that is, okay, so if I get Chris here to hold this up against his chest, all right, hold it up here like that, just hold it there. So here he is holding the log in front of his chest, okay, what I like to call the suitcases, all right, our suitcase. That there, he's nice and strong there because he's in nice and close to his centre. But if he now pushes that log out to the further extremities of his centre, it's heavy. It can be too heavy. So he starts to lose power as the log comes out, okay? All right, so it starts to lose power. So when you're dealing with centre, okay, so when you're dealing with centre, you want to keep the closer somebody is in towards your centre, the better. All right. So when we're doing a technique to somebody, we want them in as close as we can to our centre, and we don't want to get close in here to their centre because they're strong here. Okay, if we're going to get in close, we're going to get into the sides, okay, or further around behind. Right, it's very important to understand that because as we start to get into the techniques, people have a habit of doing a technique and they're standing out like this and their arms are fully extended. Another way I could probably explain it very quickly is, let's say he grabs my arm here. He's in my centre, I'm in his centre. We're at the moment we're the same distance apart. So our hands are about here. We're about even here. Okay, we're even. All right. So now, if I want to weaken Chris, I can step out of his centre. All right. So I'm no longer in his centre, but I've got a part of him in my centre. All right. The other thing I can do is, as you can see, when I step out here, I'm outstretching his arm. So his arm is further away from his centre. It's not up here anymore. It's not down here. It's not up here. But see where my arms are? My arms are bent and in close to my centre, close to my chest. So I can do a technique on him with full power. Okay, like as if I'm holding that log up here, I can do full power. So if I was going to go from here and move out of the centre, right, and then do a technique, okay, I can now bring him up on his tippy toes and I've got full power on his body. So I've done two things. I've moved out of his centre. I've extended his arm out to weaken it from his centre, and I've also taken his balance. Okay? So when I've taken his balance, he's got no power. He can't do anything. Try and hit me from there. Okay? So he loses power. So not only is his body manipulated through his ligaments, but he's also lost power of being able to use this arm. okay? He's still standing there, but he's lost balance. I'm controlling it. If I want to throw him, I'll throw him. If I want to take him to the ground, I'll take him to the ground because he's lost balance. And I can do that with maximum force because I've still got a part of his body in my centre, which is his arm, okay? So you only need a finger or an arm or a hand or a leg, okay, or whatever a part of his body in your centre to be able to manipulate his body, okay? So I'm hoping that that is a reasonable to good understanding of or explanation of centre, what is centre, and how we use it to our advantage, and how we must use it, stay out of the other person's centre. It is absolutely vital, and when we're doing techniques, we need to focus on this specifically. So just before I finish it, if you use all the fundamentals, all the videos that I've currently done up to this stage are all the fundamentals of self-defense. Basically any form of fighting, whether it's be kung fu, karate, jiu-jitsu, you name it, boxing. All of the fundamentals that I'm covering now, you must incorporate into your fighting skills, because then your skills are going to be far more enhanced, okay? And you'll get to the point where you can actually create your own techniques, okay? Whereas most people just learn techniques from other people because they don't know how to create techniques, because they don't understand the foundations or the fundamentals of self-defense, okay? So once you understand all the fundamentals and the foundations, which I've been covering in all the videos up till now, you'll be able to start to create your own techniques, and to the point where eventually you'll just be able to do techniques without even though you've never done them before. Okay, and I'll get more into that. I'll talk about more of that in future lessons and whatnot. So I'd like to thank Chris again for coming along and giving me a hand today, and I'd like to thank you guys for coming along. Subscribe, like, and by all means comment, and I'll catch you up on the next video. Thanks for coming along.